All right, good morning, everybody. We are beginning today with the Srimad Devi Bhagavata Purana, Skandha 4, Chapter 6. Picking up in the story of Indra has just sent a host of seducers, apsaras, along with Vasanta Deva, the Deva of the spring season, and Kama Deva to distract and interrupt the tapas of Nara and Narayana in Badrikashram in the Himalayas. Vyasa said, "O Raja, first there appeared on the mountain the king of the seasons, Vasanta, the spring. All the trees flowered and became very beautiful, and the bees began to hum on all sides around. Mangoes, bokul trees, the beautiful tilaka trees, the good kimsukas, sal, tal, tamala, and madhuka trees assumed unequaled beauties ornamented with their flowers. Cuckoos began to coo beautifully on the tops of trees. The creepers flowered and began to embrace the trees. So in other words, wherever Vasantadeva goes, all the plants and animals miraculously immediately burst into spring season, regardless of whatever season it was just moments before. The creatures became enamored with love and began to look on their paramours with amorous eyes and began to hold pleasant sexual intercourses. The southern breeze blew gently, full of pleasant odors and agreeable to touch. The sensual organs became very powerful and could no longer be brought under their control by the munis. This is not necessarily referring to the munis Nara and Narayana, but referring to other munis, since they're not the only ones at Badrikashram. Then Kama, united with Rati, hurriedly entered into the hermitage of Badrika with the 5 arrows in his hands. Rambha, Tilottama, and other prominent apsaras all went to that beautiful hermitage and began to sing in perfect tune with gamuts, keynotes, and respective pauses. The 2 Maharshis awoke on hearing the sweet music, the warblings of the cuckoos and the nice hummings of the bees. Nara and Narayana became anxious to see the untimely bursting of the Vasanta and the flowering of the trees. How can the spring season come now at such an untimely season, they thought. I see all the creatures are become extremely amorous with each other and infatuated with passionate lust. It is very unusual that such untimely things should happen. How has this come to pass? Struck with wonder, Narayana began to speak to Nara with eyes wide. Narayana said, "O brother, see these trees looking very elegant with flowers on them. The cuckoos are sounding sweet notes on all sides. The bees are humming on all sides. The spring, the lion of the seasons, has burst asunder the fierce elephant, the winter season, by its sharp claws, as testified by the budding of palasa flowers. O Brahman, see how beautiful and excellent has become this hermitage with the presence of the goddess Vasanta Lakshmi. O Devarshi, the Raktashoka flower is the palm of her hand, the Kimshuka flower her excellent feet, Nila Shoka flowers her black hairs on her head, the full-blown lotuses her eyes, the bale fruits her breasts, the jolly Kunda flowers her teeth, Manjari her beautiful ears, red Bandhu flowers her lips, Sindhubara her wonderful nails, the peacocks her ornaments, the sounds of Sarasa birds the jingling of her foot ornaments, or ankle bells. The wreaths of flowers her waist ornaments, the mad gooses her gait. Kadamba flower, the filaments of the Kadamba flower are the hairs on her body. O best of ascetics. Some of these are particularly very strikingly beautiful images if you are familiar with these flowers. Most of these are Indian types of flowers, but for example, saying Kadamba flower's filaments, the hairs on her body, the filaments of a Kadamba flower are like hairs. Kadamba flowers are like these plush balls of filaments that stick straight out. And otherwise, these are obviously poetically chosen for the appearance of these specific flowers. O best of ascetics, with all these, the Vasanta Lakshmi has assumed a wonderful and nice appearance. Why has this occurred untimely? Think over it, O Devarishi. I am struck with wonder. Surely this is obstructive of our tapas. Here, there the apsaras are singing sweetly the song, tending to destroy our tapasyas. It seems these are the means no doubt adopted by Indra to pollute our tapasya. Why is this spring season now generating our pleasures? It is clear that Indra, the enemy of the asuras, has become afraid of our tapasya and is creating these obstructions to disturb our asceticisms. Lo, the cool, odorous, and pleasant breezes are blowing. No other cause can be traced than the wicked deed of Indra. When the best of the Brahmins, the Deva Narayana, was addressing his companion thus, the whole host of Kama became visible before their sight, and the two rishis were very much surprised on seeing them. They saw near to them the Kamadeva with his attendants Menaka, Rambha, Tilottama, Pushpagandha, Sukeshi, Mahashveta, Manorama, Paramodvara, Gritachi, Charuhasini, the expert in music, Chandraprabha, the cuckoo-voiced Soma, the lotus-eyed Vidyunmala, Kanchana Malini, and others. These are all apsaras. 8,500 apsaras, and long multitudes of the hosts of Kama, the Munis saw and were surprised. Then those prostitutes of the Devas, dressed with their heavenly ornaments and the heavenly flowers, appeared before the Munis and bowed down their heads on the ground. Prostitutes of the Devas is not a metaphor. That is literally their profession, many of them at least. The apsaras began their enchanting songs, exciting much passion, rarely heard or seen in this world. The two Munis, Bhagavan, Vishnu-like, Narayana, were pleased with their music and addressed them thus. O thin-waisted, good-looking apsaras, you have come here as guests, I see, from your heavenly world. Stay here in peace and all comfort. We will gladly serve you as your hosts. Vyasa said, O Raja, the two Munis, thinking that Indra had sent these apsaras to obstruct their tapasya, were filled with egoism and determined to create out of their strength of tapasya a new apsara, who would be very much more beautiful and possessing far more heavenly graces than the present ones, who by comparison, would seem ordinary looking and clumsy in their behaviors. And the Munis, by clapping or striking their thighs, instantly created a woman, exquisitely beautiful in all respects. This good-looking woman was named Urvashi, since she was produced from the thighs. Urvashi literally just means thighs in Sanskrit, or she of thighs. And all the other apsaras present there were very much thunderstruck on seeing that Urvashi. Then the Muni Narayana easily created as many women as there were apsaras to serve them. The newly produced apsaras brought with them all sorts of offerings in their hands, and singing and smiling came before the Munis and with clasped hands bowed down before them. The heavenly damsels sent by Indra, though enchanting to others, were themselves now bewildered on beholding Urvashi, beautiful in all respects and produced out of the tapasya of the Munis, and their hairs over their bodies stood on their ends. Then they tried to make their faces as beautiful as they could and began to address the Munis thus. O Munis, we are ignorant girls. How can we praise you in the greatness of your tapasya and your steadiness? There is no one in this universe that is not burnt with the passion by the arrows of our sharp eyes, but there is no trace of mental disturbance and defilement in you. Oh, wonderful is your greatness indeed. We are convinced that both of you are the anshas of Vishnu, and that your treasures are your incessant peace and control of mind. We have come here not to serve you, but to hinder you in your tapasya, that we may fulfill the desires of Indra. By what good luck of ours we have got the darshan of thee, we do not know. We do not know what merits we did. We have committed a great offense to you, still you have not cursed us. You have considered us as those of your own family and have pardoned us. Therefore our minds are free from sorrow and anxiety. Much praise be to your forgiveness. Wise saints do not squander away their occult powers derived from austerities in trivial ways like cursing others. I'll just comment that I've mentioned a few times that I'm reading my father's copy of this text. He underlined that sentence. Wise saints do not squander away their occult powers derived from austerities in trivial ways like cursing others. Vyasa said, very pleased were those two sons of Dharma, the two Maharshis, self-controlled and desireless, to hear these words of those goodly behaved heavenly damsels. They then spoke to the damsels, blazing with the fire of their tapas. Narayana said, O damsels, we are pleased with you. Better ask from us your desired boons. We will instantly grant them to you. You better take with you to your heaven this beautiful-eyed Urvashi, born of our thighs, as a present to your Devaraja Indra. The Indra, since they're using Indra in its correct sense as a title and not a name. Now peace be to all the Devas. You better go to your own places, and do not in future disturb the tapasya of others. The damsel said, Where will we go now? We have reached your lotus feet through our devotion, and our joy knows no bounds. O Narayana, supreme amongst the gods. O Lord, O Madhusudana, O lotus-eyed, if thou art pleased with us and dost want to give us our desired boons, we disclose to you our wished-for object. O Lord of the Devas, thou art the Lord of the world, so beest thou the Lord of us. O destroyer of foes, we will gladly put ourselves at the service of your feet. Let those 1,650 beautiful-eyed damsels, including Urvashi, that are your creation and that are now existing here, let them go unto heaven by your command, and we, the 1,650 damsels that have come before you, may be allowed to remain here at your service. O Madhava, you are the Lord of the Devas. Be true to your word and give us our desires. Those seers, the Munis, who know what is dharma, declare that it is sin equivalent to murder to destroy the hopes of those women that are struck with passion. We are very fortunate to come here from heaven, and we are filled with extreme love for you, O Devesha. You are the Lord of the world. You can do all things, therefore do not leave us. Narayana said, O thin-bodied damsels, I am practicing at this place the tapasya for a full 1,000 years, controlling my passions. How can I now break it by engaging myself to enjoy sensual things? I have no inclination to indulge in sexual pleasures, tending to destroy the highest bliss as well as the highest dharma. What intelligent person would like to indulge like a beast in sensual pleasures? The Apsaras said, Of the 5 senses, sound, and so on, the pleasures attained through the sensation of touch are excellent and are reckoned as the source of bliss. No other pleasures stand equal to it. Therefore do then fulfill our words and enjoy incessantly this highest bliss and roam freely on this Gandhamadana mountain. If you like to go to heaven, be pleased to know that there is no superior heaven to Gandhamadana, the mountain-like intoxicating happiness of the senses. Dost thou enjoy the highest bliss, the pleasant sexual intercourse with us, the heavenly damsels, in this very beautiful and lovely place. Thus ends the 6th chapter and the 4th book of Srimad Devi Bhagavatam, the Mahapuranam of 18,000 verses by Maharshi Veda Vyasa on the origin of Urvashi. Chapter 7. Vyasa said, O Raja, the son of Dharma, of excellent prowess, hearing thus the words of these damsels, thought within himself thus, What shall I do under these circumstances? If I indulge now in sexual pleasures, I will be an object of laughter amongst the Munis. This present trouble has no doubt arisen from my ahankara. This ahankara is the first and foremost in ruining one's dharma. The wise sages have declared this ahankara as the root of this tree of world. I did not observe the vow of silence on seeing those damsels come here. I have held much conversations with them. Therefore, I have gotten into this troublesome anxiety and sorrow. I have created these damsels at the expense of my dharma and tapasya. The beautiful and lovely damsels sent by Indra are now full of lust, and are bent on ruining my tapasya. Now, if through ahankara I had not created the damsels, I would not have fallen into this difficulty. Now I am caught firmly in the meshes of my own creation, like a spider. What am I to do next? If I abandon these damsels, thinking that there is no necessity to reconsider the matter, then they would be broken-hearted and would go away cursing me. Yet I would be free from this present danger at least, and then be able to practice excellent tapasya in a lonely place. Therefore now I will get angry, or put on an appearance of anger, and tell these damsels to go away from me. Vyasa said, O Raja, the Muni Narayana thought that he would thus become happy, but at the next moment he then reconsidered in his mind thus. The second great enemy is anger. It is greater than causing hurt to others, and it is greater than lust and avarice. Out of anger people commit murder. Murder is the source of naraka and gives pains to all. As trees rubbing against each other generate fire and are themselves burnt up in this fire, so fire arising from this body, the metaphorical fire of anger, ultimately burns this body to death. Vyasa said. The younger brother, Nara, on seeing his elder brother anxious and low-spirited, spoke out what is right as follows. O Narayana, you are very intelligent and very good. Therefore, relinquish this feeling of anger and betake to quietude and peace, and slay this dreadful anger. Do you not remember that it is through this ahankara and anger that our tapasya was destroyed on a previous occasion, and we had to fight severely with Prahlada, the lord of the Asuras, for one full divine 1,000 years? O Lord of the Devas, we were put to much difficulties then. Therefore, O Lord of the Munis, get rid of this anger and be quiet. Sages declare that peace is the root cause and the only object of tapasya. Vyasa said, on hearing these words of his younger brother Nara, the Narayana, the son of Dharma, took to peace. Janamejaya said, interjecting an interruption here. O Lord of the Munis, the high-souled Prahlada was a devotee of Vishnu and of a peace-loving heart. How was it that in the ancient days a battle took place between him and these rishis? How could the rishis fight? There was this great doubt in my mind. These two sons of Dharma were ascetics and peace-loving. How could a fight come to pass between these and the Daityasuras? How did these two rishis fight with the high-souled Prahlada? Prahlada was very religious, full of knowledge and very much devoted to Vishnu. Nara and Narayana were sattvic and ascetics. Therefore, if there had occurred enmity between those, it appears that the religion and asceticism, tapasya and dharma were matters in name only, and the labor was spent in vain in the golden age even. What was the value of asceticism and meditation and silently muttering the mantras? No one can make out. Oh, persons like them could not conquer their hearts full of anger and egoism. Anger and jealousy cannot spring unless there be at the bottom a feeling of egoism or ahankara. All the passions, lust, greed, anger, etc., come out of ahankara, there is no doubt of it. 100 lakh years of severe asceticism are rendered quite useless by the cropping up afterwards of a bit of ahankara. As darkness is dispelled entirely on sunrise, so no trace of religious merit can exist on the rising of a bit of ahankara. When Prahlada could fight with Sri Bhagavan Hari, then all his merits in this world are rendered of no use whatsoever. Where is the religious merit, and where is peace, when the quiet-souled persons, Nara and Narayana, the two rishis, began to fight without paying any heed to their highest end, the tapasya? When ahankara became invincible by the two rishis, then what can be expected from the weak, trivial persons like us in the matter of subjugating this ahankara? Who can be free from ahankara in these three worlds, when the high-souled persons like the above were not free from it? I am now quite confident that in this universe nobody was ever before free from ahankara, nor will there be any such even in the distant future. One can be free if bound by an iron or a wooden chain, but when one is pierced by ahankara, one can never become free from it. This whole universe, moving and unmoving, is rolling in the samsara, polluted by urine and feces, being covered by ahankara. Where is then the Brahmajnana, O good one in vows? The karma theory, according to the Mimamsakas, seems reasonable and true. O Muni, what can you expect from the weak-minded persons like me in this Kali Yuga, when the great persons are always overpowered with lust, anger, etc.? Vyasa said, O descendant of Bharata, how can the effect be different from its cause? Gold and golden earrings, though different in form owing to upadhis, are both similar to their original cause, the metal gold. Thread is the cause of cloth. Therefore, as cloth cannot be different from its thread, so this whole universe, moving and unmoving, has sprung from ahankara. Then how can it be free from ahankara? All this, moving and unmoving, including a blade of grass, are fashioned out of the three qualities of Maya. So if it be formed of those qualities, what repentance can come to those who are wise and know every phenomenon as unreal? O best of Rajas, Brahma, Vishnu, or Mahesha, even these are all rolling in this vast ocean of samsara, being bewildered and fascinated by ahankara. The great sages like Vasishta, Narada, and the other munis are frequently taking their births in this samsara. In this Triloki, there is not even one embodied soul who is entirely free from this Maya and has become quiet and immersed in the highest bliss of the Supreme Self. O best of Rajas, Lust, anger, avarice, and fascination all arise from ahankara. These do not leave any embodied person. Studying all the Vedas and Puranas, going to all the sacred places of pilgrimages, making charities, thinking on Paramatman, and worshipping the gods, doing all these, people still get attached to sensual objects and act like a thief. O son of Kuru, in the three yugas, the Satya, Treta, and Dvapara, Dharma had been pierced and wounded very much. What to say of the Dharma in this Kali Yuga? You will find quarrels, avarice, and anger raging always in this Kali Yuga. Therefore, there is no wonder that you will not find anyone thinking and doing what is worth thinking and doing. Free from envy, anger, and jealousy, such persons are rare nowadays in this Kali Yuga. Some peaceful persons exist here and there to keep up the ideal. The Raja said, O Muni, they are blessed and holy who are free from this fascination of Maya, who are self-controlled, who have conquered their passions and who follow good conduct. They have risen above the Triloki. O best of Munis, my high-minded father put a dead serpent round the neck of an ascetic, without any fault. I'm very sorry to think of his act. Therefore, O Muni, kindly suggest any means by which I can now redress that act. O Bhagavan, I do not know what will be the result of this act committed out of the bewildering of the intellect. Fools in search of honey see only honey before them, but not the falls whence they might tumble down and die. So the stupid men do disgraceful acts, unafraid of the tortures of Naraka. Kindly describe in detail how did the fight occur between Prahlada and Narayana in ancient times? How was it that Prahlada went out of Patala and went to the great holy place, the hermitage of Badrikashrama, and the Sarasvata country, the great place for pilgrimage? So Badrikashrama is a place, it's in India today. I myself have been there. What was meant by in the Sarasvata country, there's actually two reasons why it's called that. One is the Sarasvat Brahmins. They're a certain clan, a certain spiritual tradition of Brahmins who lived in that area, who had their ashrams in that area. They are sages who when they take sannyas and are initiated, they add Saraswati to the end of the name. And their ashram, so some famous ones that will be very familiar to Andy is Brahmananda Saraswati, who was the Shankaracharya of Jyotirmat in the roughly the first half of the 1900s. His guru, Krishnananda Saraswati, these were Sarasvat Brahmins. Their ashram was just a few miles away from Badrikashrama, so Sarasvat country, right in there. Also, there is a river which flows through the upper Badrikashrama valley. It is called the Saraswati River, one of multiple rivers by that name. Where the Saraswati River flows through the Badrikashrama valley, it changes its name and becomes known as the Alakananda River. But because of those Brahmins, the Sarasvat Brahmins, and that river, that's what's being referred to as in the Sarasvata country, the great place for pilgrimage. Janamejaya goes on, O Muni, what was it that led to the best of the Munis, the two ascetics, to fight with Prahlada? The enmity springs where there is wealth, wife, or land. The two Maharshis were desireless, had nothing of these. How then, without any cause, did they fight such a battle? Prahlada was also very religious and knew that those two rishis were the devas. Knowing this, why did he fight with them? So describe in detail the cause of all these. Here ends the 7th chapter and the 4th book of Srimad Devi Bhagavatam of 18,000 verses on Ahankara by Maharshi Veda Vyasa. Chapter 8. Sutta said, thus asked by the son of Parikshit, the Raja Janamejaya, the best of the Brahmanas, the son of Satyavati. So, thus asked by the son of Parikshit, Janamejaya, the best of the Brahmanas. The son of Satyavati, Vyasa, spoke in detail the following. The virtuous Janamejaya, so we're still summarizing here. The virtuous Janamejaya became very much sorry and despondent when he heard in detail the improper acts of his own father Parikshit, the son of Uttara. Owing to insulting the Brahmin boy, his father had to go to Naraka, and he was constantly thinking how to release his father. The son is called Putra, for he releases his father from the Naraka named Put. He is the true son that can do so. The fortunate son of Parikshit became very much tormented and bewildered with fear when he heard what was the fate of his father, who died bitten by a serpent on the top of a palace due to the curse of a Brahmin, void of any bathing, charities, and purificatory acts. When Vyasa returned home, Janamejaya asked him the whole course of events of Naranarayana. And so now we get to Vyasa's actual reply to the question. Vyasa said, O Raja, when the terrible Hiranyakashipu was slain, his son Prahlada was installed on the throne of the Daityas, specifically. During the government of Prahlada, the chief of the Daityas, the worshipper of the Brahmanas and Devas, the kings on earth began with faith to do many yajnas for the satisfaction of the Devas. The Brahmanas were engaged in their tapasya, dharma, and in frequenting the places of pilgrimages. The Vaishyas were engaged in their trade, and the Shudras in serving the other three Varnas. The incarnation of Hari, the Narasingha, made Prahlada the Raja of the Daityas in the Patala, and Prahlada, engaged there, spent his time in the preservation and welfare of his subjects. Once on a time, the great ascetic Chavana Muni, the son of Bhrigu, went on his way to bathing in the river Narmada at the place of pilgrimage called Vyarhitishvara. There he saw the great river Reva, and while he was descending into the river, a dreadful snake caught hold of him and carried him down into the Patala. The Muni was greatly terrified and began to think of the Deva of the Devas, Janardana Vishnu. On remembering the lotus-eyed Vishnu, the serpent lost his poison, and Chavana Muni did not find any trouble, though carried to the Patala. Then the serpent, coming to know of the power of the Muni, left him for fear that the Muni might curse him. The snake afterwards repented very much. Chavana, the best of the Munis, worshipped by the daughters of the Nagas, so he was dragged down into Nagaloka, worshipped by the Naginis, roamed there, and entered once into a beautiful palace of Nagas and Danavas. While he was walking, he was seen by the religious king of the Daityas, Prahlada. The lord of the Daityas, on seeing him, worshipped him and inquired of him the cause of his coming there. Are you sent by Indra? He asked. Speak truly, O best of the Brahmanas. Is it to pry into my kingdom out of the enmity between the Devas and the Daityas? Chavana said, What have I to do with Indra, that I might be sent by him as his spy or messenger to your city? O chief of the Daityas, know me as Chavana, the son of Bhrigu, prompt in religious duties and whose eye is illumined by knowledge. Do not fear that I am sent here by Indra. When I went to bathe in a place of pilgrimage in the holy Narmada and dropped into the river, a poisonous Naga caught hold of me and carried me here. I took the name of Vishnu, and the Naga, on hearing the name of Vishnu, became void of poison and left me here as you see. O Raja, coming here, I see you. You are a devotee of Vishnu. Know me too, a devotee of the same Vishnu. Vyasa said, O Raja, Prahlada, the son of Hiranyakashipu, on hearing these sweet words, gladly asked him about the various places of pilgrimages. Prahlada said, O best of Munis, kindly describe to me in detail which are the places of pilgrimage on the earth, in Patala, and in the heavens that verily lead to holiness. Chavana said, O Raja, he whose body, words, and mind have grown pure, to him his every footstep is a place of pilgrimage. He whose heart is impure and defiled, to him the holy Ganga even is a thing more hated and worse than the Kikarta country. Clearly, Chavana is not a fan of the Kikarta country. That's Bihar in modern India. Every holy place will impart holiness to him whose mind is first pure and deprived of sin. O best of the Daityas, on the banks of the Ganga are situated a good many cities, towns, villages, places to assemble, mines, small villages, living places of the Aborigines, the Chandalas and Kaivartas, the Hunas, Bangas, the Khasas, and other Mlechas. The inhabitants of the above places drink at their will the holy Ganga water equivalent to Brahman, and bathe therein and do other works. O Raja, there not even a single soul becomes pure. What use is a holy place to him whose heart becomes attached to the sensual objects, and who can therefore be called the lost souls? Know, O Raja, the mind as the principal factor in any religious act or in any holy place. He who wants purity, let him first make his own mind pure. And my father, I saw that a new person joined, so I'll mention again that what I'm reading here is my father's old copy of this text. My father underlined and starred that passage there as very important. Know, O Raja, the mind as the principal factor in any religious act or in any holy place. He who wants purity, let him first make his own mind pure. The residents in any holy place deceive others and thus incur great sins. The sins committed in a place of pilgrimage can never be removed. They become unending and inexhaustible. As the fruit Indravaruna is never sweet even while fully ripe, so whose heart is defiled, he can never be pure, though he bathes hundreds and thousands of times in the tirtha water, if he holds sin in his heart. He who wants welfare of his own and others, he should first make his mind pure. When his mind becomes pure, then the purity of material things and the purity of conduct can have any effect. Then and then only, resorting to places of pilgrimage becomes efficacious. Always avoid company with the lowest class of persons in the holy places. It is far better to show one's goodwill and compassion to all the jivas by one's intellect and by one's acts. You have asked me about the holy places of pilgrimage. I will now tell you those that are the best. O Raja, the holy Naimisharanya forest is the first and foremost of all places of pilgrimage. Next, Chakratirtha. Next, Pushkaratirtha. There are many others besides these that cannot be counted, but those are Javana's top three. Naimisharanya, Chakratirtha, Pushkaratirtha. O best of Rajas, there are lots of other holy places in this world. Vyasa said, O Raja, Prahlada, the Raja of the Daityas, on hearing the Muni's words, began preparations to go to Naimisharanya, and with very much gladness exclaimed to his followers, the Daityas, O good ones, get up. Today we will go to Naimisharanya, and we will see the lotus-eyed, yellow-robed Sri Achyutam, Vishnu. Vyasa said, O Raja, when thus addressed by Prahlada, the Daityas were exceedingly glad, and they all marched out of Patala. The Daityas and other Asuras, all united, went to Naimisharanyam, and filled with much pleasure, they all bathed on reaching that holy place. There, accompanied by Daityas, Prahlada roamed about the sacred places and saw the holy Sarasvati river and her pure, clean water. The high-souled Prahlada bathed in the Sarasvati river, and his mind was satisfied. The Raja of the Daityas was very much pleased, and he performed ablutions and charities according to due rites in that most auspicious sacred place of pilgrimage, the forest of Naimisha. Here ends the 8th chapter in the 4th book of Srimad Devi Bhagavatam, the Mahapuranam of 18,000 verses by Maharshi Veda Vyasa on going to the Tirthas. Chapter 9. Vyasa said, after performing duly his religious rites there, the son of Hiranyakashipu saw before him an umbrageous peepal tree. There he saw, along with the feathers of vultures, the terrible stone-sharpened various glittering arrows arrayed in due order. So like a row of arrows leaned up against the tree. And he was surprised to think who could have kept such arrows, well guarded in this very holy hermitage of the rishis. While Prahlada was thus meditating in his mind, he saw before him, wearing the skin of a black antelope, the two sons of Dharma, the two Munis, Nara Narayana, loaded on their heads with high clots of hairs. Before them were placed the two white bows named Sharangam and Ajagavam. Ajagavam is another name of the divine bow, more often known by the name of Pinaka, the bows of Vishnu and Shiva, respectively, bearing their qualified marks, as well as their two inexhaustible big quivers. The Lord of the Daityas then saw those two blessed ones, the two rishis, Nara Narayana, the two sons of Dharma, deeply absorbed in meditation. Seeing this, he became very much enraged. His eyes became red, and he began to address them thus: O two ascetics, has vain arrogance possessed your mind to destroy Dharma? It has never seen nor even heard that the practice of severe asceticism and the holding of bows and arrows were carried into effect simultaneously by one man in any of the four yugas. These two are contradictory things that may be worthy in the Kali Yuga. This asceticism is fit for the Brahmanas. Why then are the bows and arrows held by you? There is an irreconcilable difference between holding of clotted hairs on the head and the holding on the hand of the bows and arrows. Therefore, do you practice religious rites with feelings befitting your divine positions? Vyasa said, O descendants of Bharata, on hearing thus the words of Prahlada, the Rishi Nara said, O Lord of the Daityas, what matters it to you? Why do you for nothing trouble yourself with our tapasya? An able man can accomplish anything. It is widely known in the three worlds that we are able to accomplish these two things contemporaneously. O thou of weak understanding, in the battlefield as well as in asceticism, we can show our prowess. What have you got to do with us in these matters? The road before you is unobstructed. You can go wherever you like. Why do you brag of your own merits? You are very dull and stupid. What can you understand of a Brahmanic glory that is very rare and attained with great difficulty? Those that want happiness need not meddle with the Brahmanas. Prahlada said, Blunt-headed and vain braggarts are you. When I am present in this tirtha, I who am the upholder of dharma, I won't allow you to practice any adharmic things here. O ascetics, you better show me your skill in battle today. Vyasa said, O Raja, the Rishi Nara, on hearing his words, replied, Give us battle if you are so desirous. O wretched amongst the asuras, in today's battle I will knock your head down, and then you shall never in future desire to fight with anybody. Vyasa said, On hearing these words, the chief of the Daityas was very much angry and promised to conquer these two self-controlled Rishi ascetics, Nara and Narayana, by any means whatsoever. Vyasa said, Thus saying, the Daitya took up his bow and quickly stretched it with arrow and the bowstring making a terrible noise. Then Nara too took up with anger his bow and began to shoot arrows at Prahlada, casting lots of sharpened arrows and weapons. The Lord of the Daityas quickly selected his arrows, glittering like gold, and with them tore asunder the arrows shot by Nara. Nara, seeing his arrows cut asunder, became infuriated with anger and began to hurl as quickly lots of further arrows. Prahlada then cut asunder with arrows of quick velocity the weapons of Nara, and struck violently the breast of Nara. Nara too, with anger, pierced the arms of Prahlada with 5 quick arrows. Indra and the other devas came on their respective vimanas to see this fight, and began to give cheers, sometimes to Nara and sometimes to Prahlada from above the skies. They're clearly not on any one side or the other, but just watching the show. The Lord of the Daityas, taking up his bow, began out of furious anger to hurl various weapons on Nara as incessantly as clouds give rain over the mountain peaks. The Nara Muni now became very much exhausted and weary, being struck with Prahlada's arrows. Narayana, then seeing Nara exhausted, became very much amazed, and holding his unequaled Sharanga bow, began to loose arrows shining with golden luster. O Lord of the earth, then Narayana and Prahlada both were desirous to win the victory, and a terrible fight ensued. The Devas gladly poured forth flowers on their heads from the skies, on both their heads. The Raja of the Daityas got very much enraged and began to hurl arrows with tremendous quickness. Narayana, the son of Dharma, immediately cut asunder those weapons with his very sharp arrows. Narayana too threw arrows sharpened under stones with high velocity, and very much troubled the Lord of the Daityas, who now became very much restless. The sky was covered over with arrows and arrows from both parties, and the day looked like the night. Then the Devas and the Daityas were very much astonished and told each other, We never saw before a terrible fight like this. Then the Devarashis, Gandharvas, Yakshas, Kinnaras, Pannagas, Vidyadharas, and Charanas were all very much confounded. The two rishis, Narada and Parvata, came also to witness their fight. The Devarashi Narada told Parvata Rishi he never saw before such a dreadful fight. There were awful battles with Tarakasura and Vritrasura, and also the battle between Hari and Madhukaitava, They were all inferior and cannot stand in comparison, they said. It seems that Prahlada was very powerful. Otherwise, how could an equal fight last so long a time with such an accomplished person, perfect with all the supernatural powers and of such heroic deeds as Narayana Rishi? Vyasa said, O Raja, day and night the Daityas and the ascetic Narayana, the Daitya singular, and the ascetic Narayana went on fighting terribly with each other. Then Narayana cut off with his arrow the bow of Prahlada. Prahlada soon took another bow. The expert-handed Narayana quickly broke that bow into two. Thus, though Prahlada's arrows were repeatedly cut asunder, still he began to take up fresh bows, and Narayana began to cut them repeatedly. Then, when all the bows of Prahlada were destroyed, the Daitya Raja took up a parigha, an iron club, became enraged and threw it on Narayana's arm. The powerful Bhagavan Narayana, seeing the dreadful iron club, cut it asunder with 9 arrows and pierced Prahlada with 10 arrows. Then Prahlada, enraged, threw another iron gada on Narayana's thighs. The exceedingly powerful son of Dharma was not at all agitated and stood firm like a rock, and taking up arrows quickly cut asunder the iron gada of the Daitya. Then the visitors were much startled. Then Prahlada, intent on killing his enemy, became very angry and threw the Shakti darts, spears and missiles, instantly on Narayana's thighs with great velocity. Narayana, with 1 arrow, cut that easily into 7 parts, and with 7 arrows pierced Prahlada. Thus, for 1,000 Deva years, the terrible fight lasted between Prahlada and Narayana in that hermitage, and the whole universe was struck with surprise. Then Gadadhara, with yellow robes and 4 hands, quickly came there and called Prahlada. The son of Hiranyakashipu, Prahlada, seeing the Lord of Lakshmi, 4-armed Narayana, with lotus and disc in his hands, come there, bowed low, and with folded hands began to speak to him with great devotion. Prahlada said, O Deva of the Devas, you are the Lord of the universe and devoted to your devotees. O Madhava, I have fought for full 100 Deva years, or full 1,000 Deva years, rather. Still, I have not been able to defeat these ascetics. I do not know why. I am surprised at it. Vishnu said, O forgiving one, these 2 rishis, Nara Narayana, are the perfect ascetics, self-controlled and born of my anshas. Therefore you have not been able to defeat them. What wonder is there? O Raja, better now go back to your patala and keep your steadfast devotion on me. O intelligent one, do not quarrel any more with these 2 ascetics. Vyasa said, O Raja, the Daitya Raja Prahlada, then advised by Vishnu, went out of that place with his Asura followers, and the 2 ascetics, Nara Narayana, began again to practice their tapasyas. And here ends the 9th chapter of the 4th book of Srimad Devi Bhagavatam, the Mahapuranam of 18,000 verses, on the fight between the rishis and Prahlada, the Maharshi Veda Vyasa. Chapter 10. Janamejaya said, O son of Parashara, there has arisen a great doubt in my mind on hearing your words just now. These Nara Narayana are the 2 sons of Dharma. They are ascetics, calm and quiet, the anshas of Vishnu. They reside in a holy place of pilgrimage. They are filled with the sattvic qualities, subsisting always on roots and fruits of the forest, high-souled hermits and truthful. How are they addicted to such warfare? Why had they left their invaluable asceticisms? And with what object did they fight for full 1,000 Deva years with Prahlada? What was the goal, O Muni, of their fight with Prahlada? Kindly explain to me in detail the cause of this warfare. Women, wealth, or any other worldly object can be the cause of any quarrel or fight amongst any persons, but in this case, the 2 ascetics had none of these and wanted none of these. How then did this idea of fighting spring within their minds? And why did they practice such severe austerities? Was it that they had to overpower others or enjoy pleasures themselves or to reach heaven that they practiced tapasya? What fruits did they eventually obtain from such practices? They became very lean and thin through their asceticism. Still, how could they fight full 1,000 Deva years without getting fatigued? They were not engaged in this fight for a kingdom or wealth or for women or for any other worldly object. Then why did they fight with the high-souled Prahlada? Having no attachment for any worldly object, nor any desire to gain anything therefrom, why did they engage themselves so thoroughly in such pains-giving battle? Intelligent persons always do works leading to bliss. They never do painful works. This is the long-standing rule of the world. The two sons of Dharma were the Anshas of Hari, all-knowing and adored with all qualities. Why did they fight? Subversive of Dharma. O Maharshi, even dull and stupid persons in the world won't go to deadly battles, leaving asceticism and samadhi, leading to the purification of all desires. I have heard that Yayati, the lord of the earth, was dropped from heaven to this world owing to his ahankara, though he was a virtuous Raja devoted to charities and yajnas. No sooner, Yayati, said the Raja, did the Ashvamedha yajna, etc., with ahankara, with egoism, and he was dropped by Indra with a thunderbolt in his hands. So one can see that without ahankara, no fight can occur. The ascetics had no bodily strength, therefore if they had to fight, it is through the waste of their tapasya that they could do so. Vyasa said, O Raja, the all-knowing sages that have realized the truth or dharma declare the threefold ahankara arising out of the sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic gunas, respectively, to be the causes of this world. How then can these two munis, being embodied, forego their ahankaras? Without any cause, no actions follow, this is quite certain. Tapas, charities, yajnas, all originate from the sattvic qualities, and quarrels arise from the rajasic or tamasic qualities. All arise from ahankara, whether good or bad, this is quite certain. There is no other thing that enchains a soul than this ahankara. It is out of ahankara that this universe is created. How can it be then free from it? O Raja, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesha, even these are with ahankaras. And how can you expect other ordinary munis to be free from it? Encased with ahankara, this universe is rolling. Births and deaths occur respectively through this karma. O Lord of the earth, the devas, birds, and humans are revolving in this world like the wheel of a chariot. In this wide world, who can count how many avatars Vishnu had to take in all sorts of wombs, good or low? Ordained by the Lord of the universe, Narayana himself had to take the fish, turtle, boar, man-lion, and the dwarf incarnations. Vasudeva Janardana, the Lord, had to undertake countless avatars in this world. In the Vaivasvata Manvantara, the avatars of Bhagavan Hari are being mentioned to you. Here, the all-pervading Lord of the world, the God of the gods, had to take several incarnations in this world owing to the curses inflicted by Bhrigu. The Raja said, interrupting Vyasa, there has now again arisen another fresh doubt. Why was Vishnu cursed by Bhrigu Muni? O Muni, what injury did Hari commit to that Muni, whereof the Muni Bhrigu cursed him? Vyasa said, Hear, O Raja, the cause of the curse. I will narrate to you. In days of yore, the Raja Hiranyakashipu, the son of Kashyapa, often quarreled with the Devas. Owing to this incessant warfare, the whole universe was much alarmed and perplexed. And when Hiranyakashipu was slain by the Narasingha Avatara, Prahlada, the tormentor of his foes, continued his enmity toward the Devas and began to annoy them. Thus, for 100 years, dreadful battle occurred between the Devas and Prahlada, to the astonishment of all. O Raja, the Devas fought very hard and were victorious. Prahlada was defeated and was sorely grieved. Hearing that the Sanatana Dharma is the best, he handed his kingdom over to his son Bali, or technically his grandson Bali, and went to the Gandhamadana mountain to practice tapasya. The prosperous Bali, too, on gaining his kingdom, began to quarrel with the Devas, and the war thus went on. Ultimately, the powerful Indra and the Devas again defeated the Asuras. O Raja, Indra, of unequaled prowess, with the aid of Vishnu, deprived the Daityas of their kingdom. The defeated Daityas took refuge of their family guru, Shukracharya, and addressed him thus, O Brahmana. You are endowed with your fiery strength of tapasya. This is Bali addressing Shukra. And you are now powerful. Why are you not lending your helping hands to your Daitya followers? O foremost of the counselors, if you do not help us and save us, they will not be able to stay on this earth and will soon have to retreat down to Patala. Vyasa said, thus addressed by the Daityas, the very kind-hearted Shukracharya said, O Daityas, do not be afraid. I will protect you by my fire of strength and vigor and help you with sound counsels and medicines. Be brave and energetic and cast aside your mental agony and sorrow. Vyasa said, O Raja, the Daityas became fearless under the patronage of Shukracharya. The Devas had their spies and knew all about this. They held councils with Indra and settled that before the Daityas had time to dislodge us from our heaven with the mantras of Shukracharya, we will speedily go and attack them. Thus attacked all in a sudden, they will be slain by us, and we will drive the survivors down to the Patala. Thus forming their resolves, with fully equipped arms and weapons, the Devas went out of rage to fight with the Daityas, and ordered by Indra and aided by Vishnu, they began to kill the Asuras. When the Devas were thus slaying the Asuras got very much terrified and exclaimed, "O Lord, protect us," and took the refuge of Shukra. Shukracharya, seeing the Daityas very much perplexed and distracted, at once cried aloud, out of the influence of his mantra, "No fear, no fear." Then the Devas, on seeing Shukracharya, left the Daityas and fled away to their own places. Here ends the 10th chapter of the 4th book of the Mahapuranam Srimad Devi Bhagavatam of 18,000 verses by Maharshi Veda Vyasa, on the curse on Vishnu by Bhrigu, or the backstory leading up to it. Chapter 11. Vyasa said, when the Devas retired from the battlefield, Shukracharya addressed the Asuras thus: "O best of the Asuras, please hear what had been told to me by Brahma in days of yore. Janardana Vishnu is coming here to slay all the Asuras. He killed before Hiranyaksha, the Raja of the Asuras, in his boar avatar. He killed Hiranyakashipu by assuming his Narasingha appearance. Now, too, he will kill all the Daityas, no doubt, with great enthusiasm. Now, my mantra Shakti will not be of any avail before Sri Hari, and without my help, you will not be able to conquer the Devas. Therefore, O Asuras, wait for some time for me. I will start today to the presence of Shiva Mahadeva to obtain from him the mantra Shakti. I will return as early as possible, having gotten the mantras from Sri Mahadeva, and with the help of the power of those great mantras, I will be able to protect you thoroughly." The Daityas said, "O best of the Munis, we are now defeated, and our forces are well nigh exhausted. How will we be able to stay on this earth and expect your return for so long a time? Those who were of great strength amongst us are all slain. Now we are left very few in number. In this crisis, it is not advisable and auspicious for us to remain here on this battlefield." Shukracharya said, "Better you all stay here until I return, getting the requisite mantra. Remain peaceful and engage in asceticism. The heroes apply one or other of the following 4 measures in dealing with enemies: conciliation, alliance, gifts and bribery, partitions and sowing dissensions, and punishment or open attack." So the 4 measures. Conciliation and alliance is the first measure. It's called Sama. Gifts and bribery is the second measure, called Dana. Partitions and sowing dissensions and punishment, trying to sow divisions within the enemy, is the third, called Bheda, and open attack, or Danda, according to the conditions of time, place, strength, and circumstances. Intelligent and well-wishing persons do serve their enemies even in times of distress, but no sooner they find that their strength and army have increased than they try at once to kill all their enemies. Now, therefore, pretend meekness and allegiance, and adopt peace with the Devas, and remain in your own place until my arrival. O Asuras, I will come back with the mantra from Mahadeva. I will fight again with the Devas by that veritable mantra power." O Raja, thus firmly making up his mind to gain the mantra, Shukracharya went to Mahadeva. The Danavas sent Prahlada to the Devas for conciliation. The Devas regarded Prahlada as truthful, and they all trusted him. Prahlada, with other Asuras, addressed thus the Devas with gentleness and humility. And he said, "O immortals, we all have abandoned our weapons and armor. Now we desire to wear the barks of trees and practice asceticism." The Devas took Prahlada's words to be true, which they were, as far as they went, and deserted from further fight. They were freed from anxiety and felt delighted. On the Daityas leaving their weapons, the Devas desisted from battle, went to their respective places, and freely gave themselves up to pleasures and amusements. The Daityas controlled themselves and practiced asceticism in the hermitage of Kashyapa, expecting the return of Shukracharya. Shukracharya went to Kailasa and made respectful obeisance to the god Mahadeva. Mahadeva inquired of the cause of his coming. Shukracharya said, "I ask for mantras, O Deva. from you that are not possessed by Brahaspati, for the defeat of the Devas and the victory of the Asuras. Vyasa said. On hearing his word, the all-knowing Shankara Shiva began to think what he would do in this matter. Certainly, he thought, this is with the revengeful object of attacking the Devas for their defeat and for the victory of the Asuras that this Muni has come. The Devas ought to be protected by me. Thus thinking, Shankara Maheshwara advised him an entirely difficult tapasya to practice. Full 1,000 years he would practice tapasya with feet upwards and head downwards. He would have to inhale the smoke of burnt husk. Then he would get the mantra and his desires would be fulfilled. That would be done. Thus saying to Shankara, Shukracharya practiced that excellent vow, peaceful and inhaling the smoke of husk to get that mantra. The Devas came to know that Shukracharya was practicing his vow, and the Daityas had become arrogant. They then counseled and came to the conclusion, took up weapons and arms and went to the Daityas ready to fight. The Daityas, seeing the Devas dressed in armor and holding weapons and coming from all sides, became very much afraid and anxious. The Daityas, seeing this all on a sudden, were attacked with fear and began to address the Devas, proud of their army, in words full of good meanings and morals. O Devas, they said, we have abandoned our arms. We are now weaponless. Our spiritual guru is in his tapasya. You gave us words of fearlessness. Why then have you now come dressed in full armor and with armies to kill us? O Devas, where is your truth? And where is your religion according to Sruti? It is stated in Sruti never to kill the weaponless, the fear-stricken, and the refugees. The Devas said, you sent your good Shukracharya out of pretense to acquire mantras. Your asceticism is veiled under a deceitful object. Therefore, we will certainly fight with you. Be ready now, and dress yourself with your arms and ammunitions. Lo, wherever you get any loophole in your enemies, catch hold of it and kill your enemy. This is the eternal dharma. Vyasa said. On thus hearing the reply from the Devas, the Daityas, after consideration, quitted that place and fled away with terror. And they took refuge under the mother of Shukracharya. She saw the Daityas very much fear-stricken and at once guaranteed them protection from fear. The mother of Kavya Shukracharya said, don't fear, cast away fear. O Danavas, in my presence no fear can overtake you. The Asuras, on hearing her words, were free from anxiety and pain and remained in her hermitage, in no way now bewildered or agitated, though they had no weapons. Here the Devas, seeing the Daityas flying away, pursued them, and entering the hermitage were ready to kill the Daityas, not taking into account what strength they gained there. The mother of Shukra warned the Devas not to kill, but in spite of her hindrance, they began to slay the Daityas. Seeing the Daityas thus attacked, the mother was furiously irritated and told them she would make all of them overpowered by sleep, by her strength of tapas, or clarified intellectual force. And the Swami translator includes a note here that I find somewhat amusing. Is it by the asphyxiating gas or by poisonous vapors or liquids? ? He's wondering how it is she renders them unconscious exactly. So saying, she sent the goddess of sleep, who had once overpowered the Devas and made them all fall down on the ground senseless. Indra with the other Devas lay there dumb and miserable. On seeing Indra thus stupefied by sleep, the Bhagavan Vishnu told Indra to enter into his body. He would then carry him to another place, and he will be better. Indra, spiritually, entered into the body of Vishnu, and under his protection he became free from sleep and fear. On seeing Indra thus sheltered by Vishnu and fearless, the mother of Kavya spoke, O Indra, I will devour you with Vishnu today by my tapas force. All the Devas will presently see all this in my extraordinary power. Vyasa said, O Raja, no sooner had Kavyamata, the mother of Kavya, spoken thus, than both Indra and Vishnu were both stupefied under her magical spell, her superior thought power, and a thorough learning of the art of warfare. The Devas, seeing them very much overpowered and bewildered, that she had managed to overpower Vishnu, were greatly struck with wonder. They became desperate and began to cry aloud. Indra, on hearing the Devas cry aloud, told Vishnu, O Madhusudana, I am more bewildered in particular than yourself. O Madhava, no need of any further consideration. For this wretch, inflated with pride by her tapasya, burns us, better cause her death as early as possible. When thus requested by Indra, who was very much perplexed, Bhagavan Vishnu quickly remembered his Sudarshana chakra, casting aside the thought that it is hateful to kill a woman. The chakra, the ever-obedient weapon of Vishnu, appeared instantly in his remembrance, and Vishnu, becoming angry as prompted by Indra, held the chakra in his hand and hurling it on the mother of Shukra, quickly severed her head. The god Indra became very glad at this. The Devas became free from sorrow, got very much pleased, and heartily exclaimed victory to Hari, and worshipped him and began to chant his praises. Indra and Vishnu became free from all troubles, but they began to fear that Bhrigu, Shukra's father, would curse them terribly and without fail for having killed his wife. Here ends the 11th chapter in the 4th book of Srimad Devi Bhagavatam, the Mahapuranam of 18,000 verses by Maharshi Vedavyasa, on Shukra's going to Mahadeva to get the mantra. And I think that's probably a good place to pause. It's the usual time that we would end, and this story keeps going for quite a bit longer. So I think we can have the next part of it at the start of next time.
Wow, amazing verses. Thank you, Devla.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you guys for coming.
Could you possibly paraphrase there's the situation between Narayana and the 1,000-year fight, and then and then the question is asked, why can't these enlightened gods, godlike beings, devotees of Vishnu, just talk it through, or demonstrate peace and wisdom instead of violence and fighting. Yeah. But what in your in your thoughts, what was the answer to that?
The answer was that ahankara is in their nature. Ahankara, it's being translated here as egoism. But to explain a little bit more, ahankara is individuality. Ahankara is the tendency of some consciousness to perceive itself as different from other consciousness. Individuation. Nara and Narayana are, they became Brahmins and great tapasvins, but they were Kshatriya warriors. They enjoy fighting. Battle, the valor and prowess of battle is fun to them. They fought Prahlada for 1,000 divine years because they were having a good time.
Whoa.
Yeah.
It's like playing sports or something.
Essentially, yeah. Yeah.
Wild. Now, and then Prahlada pops up. I didn't know Prahlada was still around when Shukracharya came into the scene.
Oh yeah, yeah. Prahlada was around for a very, very long time. The asuras in Patala are unaging. They live until something kills them. So Prahlada has been around for thousands and thousands of years.
But I mean, so what happens to this ardent Vishnu devotee when the demons become very anti-Vishnu for these obvious reasons, as for instance, Vishnu decapitating Shukracharya's mom?
At that point, yeah.
Where does Prahlada's faith in Vishnu shake at some point? Is there scripture to this?
This is the scripture to this. Well, it has up to this point, at least, it has been unshaken.
Right.
We'll see next time, I suppose. Picking up the story from the point in which Vishnu has just killed Shukra's mother. If it gets into Prahlada's reaction to that. But But up until this point, at least, no, Prahlada's faith in Vishnu certainly did not shake. It just said this explicitly to us here. Prahlada is retired. He retired as king, gave it to his son, and now it's to his grandson. And Prahlada is just off doing tapas. He briefly came in for a diplomatic mission. He was called in to do a diplomatic mission since he was a trusted envoy to send to the Devas. But that was a brief coming out of retirement. He's off doing tapas somewhere.
Right. I see. Okay. That's why I haven't like seen him in illustrations of this story before, maybe. It's because he was off.
Yeah, he's not very involved in this. He's long retired.
Cool.
But
Okay.
still alive.
Fascinating. Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank
all right.
you.
Yeah. Thank you all very much for coming.
Jai Ma.
Jai Ma.